Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining me. Today we are taking a tour of Eagan, Minnesota. Eagan is a southern suburb of the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, and in this tour we're going to be driving through some retail areas, past some parks, past some schools, and a lot of neighborhoods. So if you'd like to learn more about Eagan and take a first-hand tour with me, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. All right, we are just turning into the parking lot for the Eagan Community Center, Fitness Center, Central Park Commons. It's actually a very large park on the north side of Eagan that I think has probably been here maybe about 15 or 20 years. The original municipal center was further south on Pilot Knob, but seems recent to me. But recently, I'll say, they built this area up on the site of, I believe it was Surrey Univac had a campus here. And now they had this big section of land that you can see they turned into kind of parks, ball fields. Looking ahead, what you're seeing is called the festival grounds. And right now there's a lacrosse game or a lacrosse tournament. As we come around the corner here and we're within the parking lot of the park, you'll see the splash pad, which is a new addition. There's also an amphitheater, a playground, and tons of walking paths and parks all in this area. So on the 4th of July, this area, the festival grounds, is where Eagan has its 4th of July celebration, and then they shoot the fireworks off from beyond that hill. So there's the amphitheater where they'll have live music and bands, and I believe they also run a farmer's market out here during the summer, and a whole bunch of various events. It looks like they're getting set up for a wedding outside the community center. And there's the new community center right there. We're going to drive out of this parking lot, and as we get near the top of the hill, there's another entrance in the community center, which also has a fitness center, basketball gyms, children's play area. So it really is a neat addition to the city of Eagan. And we'll see a lot of cool stuff in Eagan. Eagan is one of my favorite suburbs. I lived here for a while growing up, and actually this is the town that I live in now. I've been here for probably about 10 years. So there's a front view of the community center. We're going to drive out of the park, and we'll start out our tour with kind of a first glimpse of some of the new retail they've recently put up in Eagan over the last 3 to 5 years. And I will have a whole other tour on downtown Eagan, so this will just be a little glimpse of some of the shopping and retail areas in Eagan. But if you're interested in seeing more about downtown, do watch that other video. My name is Kevin Huntington. In addition to being an Eagan resident, I'm also an independent real estate broker with the company Metro Home Connection Realty. And I've been doing real estate for about 15 years and living in the Twin Cities my whole life. So I just thought, especially on a day like today, since the summer started, I thought it'd be fun to take some first-hand tours of the neighborhoods and suburbs around the Twin Cities for people who may be considering making a move within the Twin Cities or even out of state, just to provide kind of a first-hand look of what life in today Eagan looks like. So we're coming up to the new retail development, and I'm going to turn the camera. This is kind of one of those new style retail developments where they got the little shops in the center of this huge parking lot area, but over here we've got a Home Goods, Marshalls, a Hobby Lobby, a Hy-Vee grocery store. I guess you might call the anchors. There's also a Total Wine and Sierra company that we'll be getting a glimpse of. There's the Hobby Lobby. And this was part of that former business campus that was here before. So literally within the last 10 to 15 years, Eagan had a very central location where they were able to put up the community center, the community central park, and then add this huge shopping area. And it's kind of totally modern and brand new. Literally the last I said 3 to 5. This might have even been the last 2 to 3 years that this area went in. So there's a Total Wine in the Sierra, and we will drive through the little shopping area that they've got, kind of try to make it feel like a little downtown area. We'll drive through. And when I call this area downtown Eagan, it's mainly because this is where all the retail happens to be, along with the community center. So we've got a Punch Pizza, Rusty Taco, Zupa's Kitchen, Orange Theory Fitness. So a bunch of smaller businesses in these buildings that are kind of in the central area of the parking lot, among the anchor stores, I'm going to call them. And as we pull out of Central Park Commons, I believe is what they call this area, we're going to get back onto Central Parkway, and we're going to head over to Pilot Knob Road, and we're going to leave the downtown area and start getting into some neighborhoods and going by some schools. So one of the reasons that the whole downtown area happens to be right in this vicinity is the access to Interstate 35E. And we've got the main intersection up ahead. So we're turning south onto Pilot Knob Road now. But the main intersection that we'll be going through is from Pilot Knob, crossing onto Yankee Doodle Road. And right at this intersection, as you'll be seeing in a minute, we're going to be going across the access to 35E. And interestingly, the way that this intersection happened to be and the way that they ran the interstate through in the mid-'80s created this handy situation where we've got 2 access points onto the freeway. And since the freeway is, in a below grade level, you really don't see the highway going by. But we've got this great access where, from 2 roads right in the heart of downtown Eagan, you can get onto 35E. Just north of here is 494, and 494 is the beltway around the entire Twin Cities metro area. So we'll take a little look to the right, and you get a look at 35E headed south. And as we cross over 35E, we're going to get off of Yankee Doodle. I should have mentioned we are on Yankee Doodle Road, heading east right now. We're going to take a right, go south on Denmark, and kind of get out of the main areas of Eagan, and like I said, start looking at some neighborhoods. So beyond growing up in Eagan and being a resident of Eagan, my connection to the city goes further than that. As we round the bend, we're going to be driving by my former employer, Domino's Pizza, which has allowed me a really good sense of my way around this city. And we'll actually kind of be going on one of my favorite routes to deliver pizzas on. So you'll see over here to the south, we got the Walgreens and a small strip mall. Again, this is covered in my other downtown video, but there's the Domino's, and that's considered the East Domino's location. So back in my youthful days, I would be hauling pizzas from Domino's and getting right onto this road and heading into the heart of Western Eagan, and that's where we're going to be going now. Some of the favorite neighborhoods that I used to like to drive through. And actually, when I worked at that Eagan Domino's, interestingly, maybe not, I had just graduated law school, was studying for the bar exam, and then waiting for my bar exam results. So during that time, I chose to make some extra cash by working at Domino's. And even though I was now living in Minneapolis at the time by the law school, I chose that Domino's in Eagan just because I think Eagan is one of the nicest suburbs that the Twin Cities has. And I imagined myself doing exactly what we're doing right now, just kind of driving around. We're not delivering any pizzas, but that's what obviously we do, drive around, deliver pizzas, and driving around Eagan feels like you're driving around a big golf course just because there's so much greenery, trees, parks, ponds, and I think it's just a beautiful suburb. So that is literally why I chose that particular location to deliver pizzas in right after I got out of law school. And eventually I did go to work as a lawyer for a short time before I got into real estate and eventually started my own company. So we had looped onto Gulfview Drive from Denmark, and then we were heading east, and now we're going south on Lexington. So if you were to look at the map of Eagan, you'd find it really is a very easily laid out city based on essentially section line roads that crisscross the city with, parks and neighborhoods here and there that result in some curves around the various section line roads. But one of the reasons Eagan, in my opinion, is such a nice and updated and clean and just well designed suburb is the fact that 35V, the highway that we went over earlier, is one of the main access points into the city. And that road was not constructed, that section of 35E was not built until the mid-80s. So in order to get into Eagan, there was Highway 55, Pilot Knob Road. You could come from Inver Grove down 52 in West St. Paul. So this whole section of land kind of was ignored as the rest of the metro was built up around it, including Burnsville and Apple Valley, and even further south to an extent, Lakeville, Savage. But then when that road went through, the development really got started. So a lot of the neighborhoods that actually we're going to see, in a lot of the neighborhoods in the city in general, were not built up until the 80s and 90s. So as a result, the infrastructure is relatively new compared to most of the near suburbs to the Twin Cities. And the schools are newer, and the roads are newer, and the homes are newer, and it just ended up to be one of those happy accidents that you can have such a nearby suburb that's so well designed and so attractive to look at and be in, and still have such great access into both downtowns and also the airport. We're right by the airport and near the Mall of America too. So it's a great location and it's a great town. You can tell I'm a little excited about it. So we just turned east onto Westcott Road, and we're going to dart into kind of two neighborhoods that adjoin each other near Woodland Elementary. And before we do, let's take a little jaunt into the Woodland Elementary parking lot so you can get a look at that school. So this is the entrance to Woodland Elementary, and it's off Westcott, but kind of tucked back there, and you'll see the sign for Mueller Farm Park. So how cool is this? Like, look at this row of trees. So set back on this nice wooded lane is Woodland Elementary, and beyond that there's a nice big park with a playground and ball fields, and there are walking paths that go right into the neighborhoods that we're going to be looking at momentarily. So if you get a kid living in that neighborhood, he or she is just taking the little walking path to this nice school tucked back, surrounded by trees and greenery. So a lot of the schools in Eagan, especially the newer ones, all are kind of like this setback near neighborhoods with large green spaces and trees and play fields, and just a really nice setup in my opinion. All right, we looped around. We're back on Westcott Road and we are headed east. And the first neighborhood, or two neighborhoods we're going to see, Sunrise Hills and the Woodlands. I guess depending on what developer put which house in, or which road went in first, they kind of join up. So I guess we're technically going into Sunrise Hills and we'll be exiting out through the Woodlands, but very similar home styles and ages of homes, so it feels quite similar. So you'll see the sign for Sunrise Hills as we drive onto Westcott Hills Drive, headed north into Sunrise Hills, and near the end of this neighborhood we'll be making a loop back through the Woodlands. And I'll be doing my best during our tour to kind of give a good view using the camera of the homes and the parks and the schools as we go by, so it's not just going to be a straight on view the whole time. Hopefully you get a good sense of what these neighborhoods look and feel like. So Sunrise Hills and the Woodlands were generally built in the 90s, and the homes in this neighborhood are mainly in the $500,000 to $600,000 range, some in the 400s, and some even up to the 700 range. The lots are generally irregular. We've got hills, we've got cul-de-sacs, and trees and ponds back here. So that's Basswood Lane. It's a connector between the two roads we're going to be on. And there are kind of some homes back in this neighborhood that kind of go out near the end of cul-de-sacs with larger lots and are just monsters, and that's when you get into the 700,000 range. But for the most part, I would say $500,000 to $600,000, and built in the 90s. So as we hit the northern part of the neighborhood, the right turn we took was onto Sunwood Trail, and that's taking us generally back east, and it will loop around and we'll be heading out through the Woodlands. So at some point, probably right about here, is where we transition from technically Sunrise Hills into the Woodlands neighborhood, but you'll barely notice a difference in the home styles and sizes. So nice upscale homes back here, some custom elements, a lot of two-stories, a lot of two-story walkouts. Larger homes, probably 3 to 4, maybe sometimes 5,000 finished square feet. This home is for sale right here. They're having an open house. And if I do happen to mention any home prices, they're changing rapidly. This video was taken the beginning of June of 2021, as we've just gone through a year of rapidly rising home values throughout the country, and definitely in the suburbs of the Twin Cities. So if I do happen to mention home values or prices, keep in mind, if you happen to be watching this video into the future, the prices will definitely most likely be different. But to give maybe a relative sense, maybe that'll be helpful. Literally a white picket fence. Mainly 3-car garages back here. Sometimes I think 4-car garages. And we are pulling back out to Westcott Road, and we are going to be looking across the road into the Bridgewater development, but we're going to continue east for a little bit and check out a couple neighborhoods on the north side of Westcott before we start heading south. So this is an interesting neighborhood. I believe it's called South Hills, and that's mainly the subdivision name. Not all of our neighborhoods out here have the big monuments coming into them. But this neighborhood was built in the 70s and 80s, and you'll see a lot of mature trees out here, and some standard homes, but also some really unique homes, I think. And as I say that, it looks like you're barely able to see the homes just because of the trees. But some different styles back here, and I think that has to do with just the range of time that these homes were built. It doesn't feel like at the time there was one particular builder who came in. It looks like these lots were here, and people may have had their own homes designed, and then maybe some standard homes. But it's a neat area, and it's not very big, but I just like it because of the mature trees. It feels like you're in a forest back here, and homes are so unique. And again, I always kind of end up picking my favorites from my pizza delivery days, where it was always just kind of a nice drive to come back into some of these places. So we're leaving South Hills, and we are looking out onto Elreen Road. And this is a main road that heads kind of north and south through the city, but we're gonna jump into Windtree off Stonewood Drive. Mainly built in the 80s, and these homes I would say are probably in the $400,000 to $600,000 range. But kind of standard 2 stories, and not a huge development. But again, just these mature trees that are back here, it's just I don't know, I get excited. It's just a pleasant place to be. Turning off of Brentwood Lane onto Little Ridgewood Drive, and we're looking back out at Westcott. East on Westcott, we're going to be turning onto Bridle Ridge Drive. And this is, as you see, Surrey Woods and Bridle Ridge of Eagan Hills Farms. So I always just called this the Bridle Ridge area because the name of the road is Bridle Ridge. These homes were generally built in the 80s and 90s, and right now probably selling around $500,000 to $600,000, maybe some in the 4s. I'm also enjoying the shade provided by these mature trees. The temperature today happens to be around the mid-90s. So even with the top down, believe me, it's a little warm out here, but I love it. So Bridle Ridge kind of winds back through this neighborhood. There's some cul-de-sacs that you've seen on either side. It's eventually going to dump us back out onto Elreen Road, that main road that kind of runs north to south. So we're going to be getting onto Elreen in a moment. And the nice part, why I call it Bridle Ridge, in addition to the sign, and the name of the road, this whole neighborhood just has a lot of homes like this. By neighborhood, I mean like outside this subdivision. The neighboring subdivisions were all built around the same time, the 90s. And they've got, I guess it must be the Eagan Hills Farm theme, but they've got these white fences that run all the way through here and there, and I just think it's a nice look, and it just feels cohesive even among the different subdivisions. And I love this park here, Bridle Ridge Park, set back against kind of that bluff of trees with soccer fields and a playground and baseball fields and hockey arena too. But just as you're looking at that, just the fields and the trees in the back, I just think it's just a neat look for a neighborhood park. There you see the backside of one of those homes up on Bridle Ridge Road. But no matter which subdivision around here, and there are some lower price subdivisions, it's just everybody takes such good care of their homes. It's just a nice place to be. Custom One Homes has a development over here. So there literally have been kind of some farms and some lots still sitting around here. We're coming up to Dodd Road. We're going to cross into Coventry Parkway. But there are some large lots that have been left over by old farmhouses that they are sneaking still new developments into. Unfortunately, the new developments aren't really big and large in size like the Woodlands or Sunrise Hills, where it can just be a big neighborhood consistent with a school and all that put together. They're kind of smaller with smaller lot sizes, but they're still putting new construction in Eagan in various parts of the city. So El Reen, when it hit Dodd Boulevard, has turned into Coventry Parkway, and this, I guess, is the Coventry neighborhood. We're going to be heading south on Country View Drive, which is eventually just going to take us south down to Diffley. So here's the turn south onto Country View, and an interesting thing about this particular road is our former governor and one-time presidential candidate, Tim Pawlenty, lived right on this street. When he got into politics, he started out on the Eagan City Council and eventually became the mayor of Eagan and then the governor of the state of Minnesota. We've got Captain Dodd Park on this side. A lot of little parks strewn all throughout Eagan, smaller ones like this and bigger ones like Central Park and Lebanon Hills Regional Park, which we will be seeing, we'll be coming to at the end of our tour. So in Coventry, these homes were built in mainly the 90s, and the prices here, depending on the property, are running about in the $400,000 to $600,000 range. Again, in June of 2021. And there actually have not been a lot of home sales in this particular neighborhood recently. Probably because people love it. We are leaving Countryside Drive, and we are going to be taking a left and heading east on Diffley Road, which is a very main east to west road that cuts the entire length of Eagan from one side to the next, literally from Highway 3 all the way to almost the Minnesota River. The next neighborhood we're going to be going into actually will be the final neighborhood, but stick around because we are going to be checking out one of the greatest parks in the entire Twin Cities metro. But this is Hawthorne Woods. And there are really two roads that run through in some cul-de-sacs, Hackmore Drive and Hawthorne Woods Road, and they kind of make a big circle. And we're gonna drive through the neighborhood, get a look at the homes, and this is another one of those neighborhoods, just like the Woodlands, that I'm not gonna say it has its own elementary school, but at the other entrance to this development, Pinewood Elementary sits. And again, it's got the nice drive up with fences and trees, and it's set back among a park, or surrounded by a park. So this is just, I think, one of a really nice neighborhood of the city as well. And there's kind of a big hill that runs through this, so depending on which way we go or what side of the street you're on, there are hills. So Hawthorne continues straight. We are looping along on Hackmore Drive, and we're going to reconnect with Hawthorne in a little bit, but this is going to make kind of a big loop to get a look at the neighborhood. But the funny part for me is I always used to love driving down in this neighborhood because, I mean, we're 10, 12 minutes out of, well, maybe not that much depending on traffic, but we're 10 minutes out of downtown Eagan. But I just loved taking a delivery down this way because it's just a pretty drive. So I probably wasn't the most cost-effective pizza driver. I was prompt and a safe driver, and I always ran the pizzas to and from the door, but I like to take these longer runs just because I enjoyed the drive, which is kind of weird maybe. So right now, in the early part of 2021, these homes are generally would be in the $400,000 to $600,000 range. And there are some more unique, special homes, especially in the back part of some of the cul-de-sacs out here, that are larger and will obviously sell for much more. But generally, it's just kind of a nice middle-class neighborhood with nice yards and trees. And we're going to be meeting back up with Hawthorne Drive and going by Pinewood Elementary School in a minute. And there's Hawthorne Woods Drive, and here is Pinewood Elementary School. So let's take a little run in here, a little look around. Again, for anybody who has kids in this neighborhood, they've just got the ability to just, the kids are walking to this beautiful school set back in the middle of a park. How great is that? So there's the school, you can see the playground, and just surrounded by trees, off like this side road from Dodd Boulevard. So stay tuned, because our next stop is very close, and it's very exciting. It's Lebanon Hills Regional Park, and we're going to be heading into the part of the park where the beach is. And I haven't made it yet, so definitely subscribe, stay tuned. I will be making another video specifically about Lebanon Hills Regional Park, but it is a regional county park, nearly 2,000 acres in size. And it sits right at the southern, oh look, here's some horses and a barn. How fun is that? Do you see the horses? Literally a barn. Like, unfortunately, at some point, this land may be developed into another subdivision. But for right now, there are still horses in Eagan, which is cool. Okay, we're on Dodd Road, and we're gonna be headed south, meeting up with Cliff, and then we're gonna be heading into Lebanon Hills. I'll continue telling you more about Lebanon Hills Regional Park. So, nearly 2,000 acres, and there are ponds and lakes and trails, a swimming beach. There is a campground area that's actually technically in Apple Valley, because Lebanon Hills Regional Park is mainly in Eagan, but it does extend into the northern part of Apple Valley as well. But when you get into this park and you're hiking or you're walking on the trails or you're camping in the campground, you literally feel like you're in a state park. And at the same time, you're like 25 minutes from the Mall of America, a half an hour, 35 minutes from downtown Minneapolis, and the airport's 20 to 25 minutes away. So to me, it's a huge benefit to the South Metro altogether, but especially to Eagan to have Lebanon Hills Regional Park sitting here almost as a city park. You take it for granted, but it's just a huge natural area, and actually it's not the only one. In some of my other tours, you will see Patrick Eagan Park. In the Burnsville tour, there is Terrace Oaks Park. But our South Metro has some of these really nice, large, natural areas that just feel like you can really get away and get out of town without ever really getting too far out of town. All right, this is Cliff Road, and we're turning west onto Cliff Road. And Cliff Road, actually, Eagan goes further south than this, but this is kind of the last main route on the south side. So we've really gone from the north to the south side. You're going to see the sign here for Lebanon Hills Regional Park. We're going to go in, and day like today, 90 degrees. I'm sure the beach is packed. So let's take a look anyway. So that sign right there, not the entrance sign, but there's a sign. You can rent paddle boats and kayaks and canoes. There's a swimming beach and hiking. In the wintertime, I believe they've got skiing back here, so you can do cross-country skiing, and I believe they rent the equipment. You can rent cross-country skis or snowshoes, and just miles of trails back here. And they've got this nice curved road in, so by the time you get back here, you feel like you're really deep into the park, and really it's just kind of a big S that lures you in to feel that way, but it's great. Something has flown into my eye, excuse me. And I bet we're gonna hit the overflow parking lot, which is probably full before we even get to the main parking lot. But they've got like this natural prairie grass growing out here. And we are just a touch into what this park is all about. And again, I will be making another video with a closer look at the park. So if you like this video, or if you'd like to see more videos of the neighborhoods or suburbs of the Twin Cities, and the video I'm going to be taking on Lebanon Hills Regional Park and Patrick Eagan Park, please do subscribe to this channel. I really am enjoying making these tours, and I'm looking forward to making a lot more. So stay tuned, and there will be more information. But don't leave just yet, because we're still pulling into the heart of Lebanon Hills Regional Park. And we just passed the overflow parking lot, and now we're getting into the main parking lot. And they've also got a clubhouse here, and a changing room, and a bathroom, and a food vending, amphitheater. And we're going to be looking at Schulze Beach. We'll take a little loop around here. Picnic shelters, etc. And you can see a bunch of people picnicking in the shade. And over beyond that is the center where you can rent the skis and whatnot. And we'll get a glimpse as we come around the corner of the beach onto Schulze Lake. And there's the beach. Definitely a great day to be at the beach. And beyond that, there are trails. So I'll put some links to my eye. I'm not sure what's in it. I'm crying right now, maybe out of happiness. I'll put some links to some other videos that I think would be of interest if you enjoyed this video. So please like and subscribe. Watch one of these upcoming videos, and I hope to see you on a future tour. And thanks very much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.